You know, you focus on the ocean, but you know, the Sound is a wonderfully varied area with a lot of habitat, and you know, particularly in shoulder seasons.
I come out a couple of times in the fall and a couple of times in the spring, and we take folks on walks along our boardwalk, along the coastline of Duck. And it's a wonderful chance for people to experience what's going on here in the Outer Banks and along our sounds. We first stop at a maritime forest that gives us an opportunity to talk about the flyway and birds that we might find in this unique environment of these tall trees so close to the beach. I bet you didn't realize that you are in the midst of the floristic transition between the Carolina and Virginia biogeographic regions. We then take them out to the boardwalk itself. We do a little bit of water chemistry there at an access point that they have along the boardwalk. We look at pH, we look at salinity, we look at dissolved oxygen. Again, this notion of citizen science, what's going on in the waterway, how does that impact the animals that live in our waterways, the plants that live in our waterways. We continue on north then along the boardwalk, and we stop and look at some of our grasses that are along the boardwalk. We talk about lichens along and the trees that we find along the boardwalk. Bald cypress that we stop and talk about the impacts of climate change and how that's influencing the changes that we see along the edges of our marshes and our sounds. This time of year they're losing their needles, and we've had some high wind events that probably didn't help the situation. Dorian kind of took a number. But if you notice on the north side, it looks particularly dead. What we have when we have nor'easters, when we have hurricanes, the plants that are around in here are well adapted for that salt spray if they can get some rain at the very end to kind of wash it all off.
The boardwalk allows us to see the impact of sea level rise and the erosion that's caused by storm events that are increased in frequency, and the impacts of the higher storm surge because of the rising sea levels. By being able to observe these things, it's brought how the town needs to plan to respond to those items to the forefront, and has really brought a sense of urgency. We want to start examining what are approaches that we can use both on a smaller scale and a larger scale in order to increase the town's resiliency to storms.
I'm really pleased that the town of Duck has taken a proactive interest in preserving the coastline. When people harden the shoreline, it doesn't preserve our sound side as much as we would like. Better to have natural systems, and so we work with a number of different organizations here in Dare County to encourage people to include living shorelines, to plant more plants, plant more natives. Again, that helps our environment. It helps the environment of our natural system of the animals and plants that live here. It also increases our property value if we have natural spaces in our environment.
We have a few studies going on. One is with Western Carolina University, which is looking at an assessment tool to help us identify critical infrastructure and bring perspective into how threatened that infrastructure is, which obviously is critical to planning ahead. One of the other projects that we're working on involves a demonstration project of creating sills along the boardwalk to cut down on your normal everyday erosion. We're also looking at, as part of phase 4 of our sidewalk project, trying to do a larger scale living shoreline type project in one of our most critical areas, which is on NC 12 in between Sunset Grill and Resort Realty, where during even normal events, but particularly in sound side events that have a large storm surge, we get overwash onto the road, which has the potential to cut the town off. Our projects are designed to preserve that critical environment that people are exposed to through the boardwalk.